Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Retro Life for You, the podcast where we dive deep into the movies and the shows, pop culture that made growing up in the 1980s and 90s unforgettable. I'm your host, Chris Adams, and running solo today. Travis is not here. He's sick today, so if you will, keep him in your thoughts and prayers and everything. I think he made a quick trip to the doctor for this, so let's be thinking about him. Today we're dialing it back to 1985 though for a sci-fi comedy cult classic that really puts lasers and popcorn and teenage genius on the map. That's right. If you haven't figured it out yet, we're talking about Real Genius. It's one of those hidden gems that might not have been a massive box office hit at the time when it came out, but over the years, it's become a fan favorite for its wit and its charm and it's ahead of its time ideas about tech and ethics and the pressure of academic success. Plus, it features an early breakout performance by none other than Val Kilmer, which unfortunately we just lost recently. He passed away. So grab your popcorn, literally, and you'll see why soon. We'll get into that in a little bit. So let's go ahead and get into this. What I'd like to do, first of all, today, though, is I would like to go ahead and play the trailer if I could. Those of you who are watching the video, you can see the trailer play here with me. And those of you listening will, of course, hear the audio to it. So I'll go ahead and share this on the screen and we'll get started with it here now. Here we go.
I don't want to hear about any problems, Don. Just as long as we have a working weapon by the end of June.
I haven't had a working weapon since Korea.
When the military runs short on brains, they go hunting at Pacific Tech, an exclusive institution for outstanding intellects, where the superstar of smarts is Chris Knight.
You have a jacuzzi?
Absolutely.
His hobbies violate the laws of gravity.
What are you doing out there?
Floating, sir.
His homework could win a Nobel Prize.
He's one of the 10 finest minds in the country.
And his IQ is higher than most people can count.
I can't stand it. Have you ever seen a body like this before in your life?
She happens to be my daughter.
Oh, well, then I guess you have.
But when Chris makes the scientific discovery of the century,
You did it.
his classmates want the credit.
You're not number one around here anymore.
His professor wants the publicity.
Hi.
That's it. And the military wants to use his discovery as the ultimate weapon.
This is not good.
So Chris is about to turn getting even into a science.
Crossbow is undiscriminator and all systems are go.
And show them
Roger.
Open bomb bay doors.
they should never try to outsmart a real genius.
Was no longer lasing efficiently. It's not shutting down.
Shut it down.
Real genius.
Number one is a hard time in the making.
There you go, Real Genius. Great movie. Actually, it's a very good movie. I just rewatched it again today. I haven't seen it in such a long time either. And it just reminded me of how great Val Kilmer really was at that kind of subtle humor, that he had going on with that. So great job with that. Quick synopsis for those of you who may not be familiar with Real Genius. Real Genius follows 15-year-old science prodigy Mitch Taylor, who's played by Gabriel Jarret, who's recruited to a prestigious tech university to work on a secret project. He's partnered with the school's legendary slacker/genius Chris Knight, who played by Val Kilmer, a guy who's more interested in pranks and pool parties than lab experiments. But things aren't what they seem. Mitch and Chris soon realize that their laser research is being secretly used by the military to create a precision assassination weapon. The fun and games turn into a mission to stop their invention from being weaponized, and they do it in a most over the top and delicious way possible because yes, we're talking about a house filled with popcorn. The professor, which they mentioned in the preview there, that wants the credit or the notoriety for it, hates popcorn. Like, he hates the smell of popcorn. He hates the taste of popcorn. So what they did was they put a giant thing of, I guess, popcorn kernels wrapped in aluminum foil. It would be kind of like saying if you were to um if you were to think back about how they used to do popcorn on the stove, the Orville Redenbacher thing where you just shake it across the stove as it got hot and it would pop the popcorn, and you would pop open the top of it and the popcorn would come out everywhere. You would put it in a bowl or eat it straight from that. It's the same thing on a larger scale. And they changed the trajectory of the weapon that they've made to fire the laser in through the house into the popcorn thing, because the beam lasts for like 15 seconds, I think, and it's like really, really, really hot. So what it does essentially is pops the popcorn right there and fills the entire house, breaking through windows, doors, and everything else, and more or less destroying the house. So, uh, gosh, funny thing in the movie, it's like the best way they could have possibly ended it. The movie, it's part college comedy, part Cold War commentary, if you think about it, because of the way they're creating the assassination. Couldn't get the word out. Assassination weapon, and part anti-establishment geek rebellions, all wrapped up in classic '80s flavor. Um, this is Val Kilmer's actual second movie as well. So let's do a quick cast spotlight on some of the main people in the movie, and throw out a couple of extra things that they've done. Val Kilmer as Chris Knight. This was, like, as I mentioned, Val Kilmer's second film role after Top Secret. Top Secret was a comedy that was kind of like a cross between a parody and a spoof, with a little traditional comedy thrown in. They kind of spoofed several different types of movies, including Elvis musicals, because there's like a couple of musical spots, I think, in I believe in the movie. It's been a while since I've seen Top Secret, but um, let's just refer to it as a spoof and a parody, if anything. Kind of like Hot Shots or Naked Gun, things like that. Val Kilmer went on to star in so many great movies. We have an episode coming up where we're going to do our top 5 Val Kilmer movies that we like, between me and Travis. But the ones we have listed here, just to give you a taste of what he's done, he was in Top Gun in 1986 as Iceman. He played Jim Morrison in the movie The Doors. Probably my most favorite character he did was Doc Holliday in Tombstone in 1993. And in 95, he played Bruce Wayne and Batman in Batman Forever. As I mentioned, so many other great movies that he was a part of and did as well. So if you want to get the full list, just go to IMDb and type in Val Kilmer, and you will see everything that he participated in during his career. Real Genius helped establish his quirky and intelligent, kind of charming persona, though, that stuck with him for years in some of the things he was in. Gabriel Jarret as Mitch Taylor, I mentioned that earlier as well. He's not quite as high profile of a career as Val Kilmer, but you might have spotted him in Apollo 13 in 1995. He was an uncredited scene in Karate Kid Part 3, and then he was in a few other movies as well. He's done several small roles and voiceover work since then. So voiceover seems to be the thing that a lot of people get into when they're not as big, I think, in the getting starring roles in movies. I wouldn't mind taking a shot at voiceover work myself. I think that would be fun. I mean, you can do it in a home studio that you set up these days. You can send it in to wherever to whoever you're working with, to have the audio, um, kind of touched up and everything to what they want it to be like, music added to it and stuff like that. Uh, Great thing to get into, I feel. Maybe one day I'll take a shot at it, or I'll be given a chance at it. Who knows? William Atherton was Professor Jerry Hathaway. He's the one that they put the popcorn stuff in the house and tore the house up with the giant ball of popcorn that popped everywhere. This guy is practically the perfect 80s slime ball. I mean, you want someone that's just very unlikable to be the bad guy. This is the guy you want. He was also in Die Hard as the reporter, Richard Thornburg, that exposed McLean's kids and Holly's kids on TV, the one that she punches at the end of Die Hard. He was in Die Hard 2 as well. He reprised his role in there. He also played Walter Peck in Ghostbusters in 1984. Excuse me. Typecast as a villain you love to hate, and he pulls it off flawlessly here and in every other movie that I've seen him in, and in that role, he's amazing at it. Michelle Mayrink as Jordan. Jordan is a quirky insomniac genius who practically steals every scene that she's in. She's in a lot of the scenes with Mitch. Her and Mitch have a connection with each other. They end up liking each other, and I believe eventually going out. She is just talking 100 miles an hour, it seems like, with this character. So she mentioned she doesn't sleep much, so she's always making things. She's also appeared in Revenge of the Nerds. She was one of the Omega Moves, I believe, that was with one of the main nerd characters. I cannot remember his name at the time. It wasn't the one with the funny laugh. It was the Anthony Edwards character. Um, and I just forget his name. She was also in The Outsiders, and she's been in several things. Other than I believe she was in Valley Girl as well. But she retired from acting not long after Real Genius. She left behind a lot of memorable characters, a resume of fun, if you want to call it that. Definitely a lot of memorable characters if you were fans of the early 80s. A couple more people. Ed Lauder was in there. Ed Lauder is a guy who's been in some movies playing like the bad guy as well, or the unlikable guy. If you ever seen Girls Just Want to Have Fun, he played the father um, of Sarah Jessica Parker, where he didn't want to let her leave the house or anything or go to the dance show tryout thing. Military guy. He was also in Cujo, The Rocketeer, Not Another Teen Movie. Uh, Quite a bit of things actually. So very notable. You know him when you see him for sure. That's a guarantee. He's one of those faces that you just know when you see him, that you've seen him in other things as well. And let's see, where is he on here? There was the guy that played I want to call him like a main antagonist almost. He's like the one of the geniuses there that's trying to get all the credit for things that are done. Um See, I believe his character name was Kent, and I am looking in the cast right now to get his name out of here. Should show up here momentarily. Yes, Robert Prescott. Robert Prescott's the guy. Now to get at this guy, what they did was I don't know what they knocked him out with. There was something that put him to sleep for a little bit, and they installed some kind of thing in his mouth where it was a transmitter of sort where they could talk to him from from a remote location, and they had him believing they were God, and they were speaking to him in his head, and he has a couple of humorous moments, especially going into the house where the popcorn is at the end of it, and getting pushed out through the door with the popcorn. He's been in a couple of other things as well, but I believe Real Genius is the main thing that I remember him from personally. Box office and reception. Let's touch on that for a minute. How did Real Genius do in the theaters? Well, it was released August the 7th, 1985. Had a budget estimated at $8 million. The box office grossed around $12.9 million domestically. Not sure about worldwide. It was not a blockbuster, especially compared to other sci-fi comedies of the time, but it gained major traction in the home video market and became a cult classic thanks to cable reruns as well, VHS rentals, and word of mouth from people who had watched it and liked it. Critics praised its wit and its energy, and over time, it's been recognized for being smarter than your average 80s teen flick, blending humor with ethical questions about science and the military industrial complex. Um, Quite a few movies have, become the cult classic once they hit VHS and television. And those seem to be some of the best 80s movies that there was out there. I don't, I don't put a lot of stock into the money made at the box office because we don't know how much money was put into advertising. We don't know how many screens it was on or how long it was at the theaters. Was it there for a couple, 2 weeks and that was it? Was it out for 2 months, 3 months? Did it show on just one screen only or two or three screens? And keep in mind, back in that time, there was not a lot of multi-screen theaters. You had one theater screen you went to and you watched it, and that's why you kind of hope it stayed out for a little while. But the bad part about it was, the longer it stayed out, the less other movies you got to see. I can remember the small town that I grew up in Tennessee. It's called Waverly. Um, they had the one theater there, and the drive-in. Drive-in's been closed for a long time though. But the theater, the walk-in theater, they called it. Uh, when ET came out, they had it there for many months, and there were other movies that came out during that time frame. They just shifted them over to the drive-in at the time instead of putting it at the regular theater. And that wasn't great for some people. Some people prefer to go in and sit down, eat their popcorn, in the air conditioned area there, not sit outside and use the little speaker that sits on the side of your window. Or even at the time, you could tune in the movie through an AM radio station, so the sound wasn't that great that way either. But you know, you can't put much stock into how good a movie is based on what it made back in that time. I don't think so. VHS rentals, TV reruns, things like that. It helped a lot of movies. Last Starfighter, Last Dragon, Big Trouble in Little China, just to name a few. They grew exponentially at that point and very popular with a lot of people. Um, some of the angles in the movie, some of the fun and some of the deeper angles of Real Genius, they include like ethics and science. The movie raises a real issue: how research can be repurposed for military use, and how relevant is that today in the world of AI and defense tech? I mean, I don't know how many actual geniuses there are out there coming up with what they think is a world saving product that might get turned around and turned into a weapon, but I'm sure something like that is still, around today. If I was smart in that area, I wouldn't be doing a podcast, would I? Chris Knight, the anti-hero genius. Val Kilmer's character kind of breaks the mold of the serious nerd. And he's really not that serious because he's always cracking jokes throughout the entire movie. I mean, he's hilarious with these little one-liners he tosses out there. Um, and that charm and humor he's got is what made him so iconic, for that role. I don't know if anybody else could have played it as well. It's possible, but I just, when you see somebody for so long that's played a certain role, it's hard to imagine anybody else stepping in and doing that same thing. Um, it's like an '80s college comedy meets sci-fi. Most films in the genre, like Revenge of the Nerds and Back to School, they lean more towards slapstick comedy, or like I mentioned earlier with Top Secret, you've got parody. Um, but this movie just had some great humor to it, and still kept a little bit of sci-fi with it, with the laser weapon that they were building to equip on Air Force, jets and everything. It kind of walks a fine line. It's smart because they are nerds based on the tech school that they're at. Not too pretentious. It's fun, but at the same time, it's kind of thoughtful when you watch it and you're thinking, what great writing they put into it. The popcorn scene, we gotta just revisit that for a moment because that's too good not to talk about a little bit more. Uh, I didn't when the first I remember the first time I watched this movie, I didn't know what in the world this thing was. It was just looks like a big giant ball of some sort wrapped in aluminum foil. And what you have happen is uh Val Kilmer's character, Chris, and the other one, what did I say it was, Mitchell. They get into the Air Force compound, or not Mitchell, but Mitch. I'm sorry. They get into the Air Force compound, and they are trying to get to the area where they can hack into the system, and they can redirect the targeting system for the plane where it's going to be sending the laser to. And the ultimate revenge they can think about getting is on that professor and targeting his home while he's not there. Obviously, he's with the Air Force doing their thing because he's behind part of that, trying to come up with that weapon. So they know he doesn't like the popcorn. They make this big giant ball of unpopped popcorn and wait for the laser to hit it till it starts expanding everywhere. I just thought it was like one of the most unique things I'd probably seen the first time I seen it, as far as a prank would go at a genius level. Not that that would probably ever, not that it would ever work. I mean, there's no, to my knowledge, like a laser firing weapon of sort like that for assassination. But still, if there was, the way it looks and everything, making it pop the popcorn. I mean, it's funny for a movie, but it's not very practical for something real. Um, the team though, I was looking this up. It says the team really filled a house with popcorn. I don't know how much popcorn that is if you're filling what looked like a decent sized house that they had, I guess, built on set, but it's got to be a lot. They talk about Mitch, which is Gabriel Jarrett's character, Mitch Taylor. Is he the real protagonist in the movie? Because the movie starts out from Mitch's point of view, where he's at a science fair, and the professor that we just mentioned a moment ago, he is there at the fair, and he's been talking with the parents about getting um, Mitch into this college. He's 15 years old, and he'll be one of the youngest to get there, not the youngest, but one of them, and help out with creating that weapon that they're unaware they're making a weapon, but working with the laser and everything. So you're seeing everything through his point of view until he gets to the college, and you see Chris Knight's character, played by Val Kilmer, introduced. And then from that point forward, it really just feels like it's Chris Knight's movie at this point. It's Val Kilmer. Um, it was questioned, is that a strength or a flaw in the script? I don't think it was a flaw in the script. Obviously, it's written that way. So I mean, I think it's the thing where you have to start from one point of view, and Mitch is a great way to start because he does become something bigger toward the end of the movie, along with Chris Knight. Uh, so it was great the way they did it, the way they started it out, the way they worked them in together and brought them along together to be good friends and partners, I guess you could say, in stopping the use of their invention, of their work being used as a military weapon. The movie itself, for those of you who have seen it, do you feel like it's an underrated 80s classic, or is it just a movie that you fall back on for some good nostalgic fun? Because there's movies like that for me that I think I watch just because it reminds me of my childhood. Um, and I just like watching it. I remember one movie that was called Megaforce. It's very cheesy when you look at it today because, I mean, we're used to seeing all these movies made with the magic they do to make it look so realistic. And back in the day, it just wasn't that way. But it's a little cheesy, a little campy. It's a fun movie to watch. Girls just want to have fun. I mentioned earlier, it's not any kind of a sci-fi kind of thing where you get a lot of neat things on it. It's just a regular movie, but it brings some nostalgic memories, for me, some nostalgic fun. It's a movie, honestly, that my sister watched a lot. Uh, and I remember walking in one day and seeing it, and it got my attention, and I started watching. I was like, "Well, it's actually a pretty good movie. I liked it." I'll tell you the cheesiest movie probably for me though that I will watch today, and I think I own one of them on a streaming service like with Voodoo. It's Fandango at home these days, what they call it, but it was Breaking and Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. The stories are okay and then they're all right, but you really watch it for the breakdancing. I mean, it's kind of a silly thing these days to watch, but they were really good in that, back in that time with that, and that was just a fun movie for me to watch. Now, I don't consider movies like Big Trouble in Little China or Last Starfighter underrated. Goonies, so those are some of the ones I fall back on. Those are some of my favorites that I'll watch anytime, just because I think they're great. Um, but if I want some just good nostalgic fun, I'll fall back on one of the others I mentioned. I think Real Genius for me falls under just nostalgic fun. So not really top of the line kind of deals or anything. Well, since I'm running solo this week, it's not going to be very long. We're going to hit about a half hour, and that's going to be about it this week. Hopefully Travis gets better and will be on with us in next week and the week after and such going forward. But we'll go ahead and start wrapping things up here. And in closing about this movie, Real Genius might not have been a blockbuster, but it's a shining example of the 80s at its best, blending quirky characters, clever humor, and surprisingly sharp commentary under the surface. It's a film that still holds up today, especially in an age where questions about tech and science and who controls it are more relevant than ever. So if you haven't watched it in a while or somehow you just missed it, do yourself a favor and revisit this one. You will laugh, you'll think, and you might find yourself wanting a rig of giant popcorn machine in someone's house if you can figure it out. I mean, if you can, more power to you. Let me know. Record it with your cell phone. Let us all see. We could all use an updated laugh of the same prank done back in that day as well. So you'll get no complaints from any of us. Don't forget, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are also on YouTube. It's where the videos get uploaded at. We do have a website at Retro Life for You. That's the number 4, the letter U.com. You can listen to us in the browser. You can go in the show notes and click on the video and watch us on video as well. But if you're going to watch the video, just go to YouTube and do it there. You can go ahead and hit the little bell icon notification at the top right. That way, every time we upload something new, you're alerted and you're let know that we have something new for you to watch. That's the best way to do it. We best place I would say is Instagram and Facebook for us. So, want to email the show? Give us an idea of what you'd like to see or hear, or you just got some comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes or anything. retrolife4u@gmail.com is where you can reach us. We'll get back with you for sure. I always answer emails that are sent to us. So I do make a point of that. And just like to thank you for joining me today on this episode of Retro Life for You. Be sure to follow and subscribe again. Like I said, leave a review, if you will, on iTunes. If you leave us a review, that will help us a lot get up in the rankings on iTunes and be spotted by some new listeners. That would help us grow. And if you will, on Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. We're currently sitting at 134 5-star reviews on Spotify. So thank you to everybody. Thank you for doing that. If you will go to iTunes, though, and leave us a review on there, that would be so awesome as well. Excuse me. Until next time, can't believe I'm going to say this since Travis isn't here with a joke. I got to come up with something, right? But stay retro, stay awesome, and remember, it's a moral imperative. We'll see you guys on the next episode.